at some ridiculous price for the sake of the founding the founding shareholders that had come along for the ride with us. So that was a very dark and lonely place for a long period of time, and there's no one to talk to.
Right.
Because you start talking to people who need to believe that you're leading them and it's going to be okay. And this is a temporary blip and we've got a plan and this is what we're going to do. You can't share with them how scared you are and how terrified you are. You can't share with anyone because you don't want the market to know that either.
And you don't actually know the plan at that stage
exactly
either.
Right. It's a very dark and lonely place. And it happens more often than you think in even very successful businesses. Where you think you may have invested or convinced everybody to invest in something that now looks like it's not going to work or not going to deliver, etc. There's a lot of people that input into decisions. There's only one that pays the price if it doesn't work out. If you're a good CEO and you are protecting your organisation.
When you climb to the top of the mountain, it's a great climb, but at the top you're very lonely.
It is lonely and stressful. So you either cope with that and thrive in that environment, even though it's painful at the time, or you don't. And I just happen to be, maybe from my background, dealing with the sort of verbal abuse that comes with alcohol abuse, that you learn that what other people say doesn't stick and you've got to believe in yourself because no one else will if you don't. So I guess that gives you a little bit of background.
So how did the founders extract themselves in the finish then?
Well, we sold to ING. They wanted 100% buyout, so the founders had to sell in order to make that transaction happen. None of us wanted to sell that early, but that's the way it went. And then remain employed, actually, with no ties, so I didn't have to, but I enjoyed running the company. I enjoyed continuing to be able to build our dream. You earn a fair amount when you're at that level anyway, and we certainly banked some profit. In terms of nowhere near as much as, you would have had 10 or 20 years, but certainly something that puts money in the bank and allows you to, get rid of your debt and live fairly comfortably. Exactly. Until you start it all over again and you put everything you own back in your new business.
And then you start all over again, don't you? So how did that come about?
Again, that's a funny story. Chris and Richard Kuhn, fast forward, they'd done a couple of businesses in between times and they looked at the market and could see that, ANZ had bought out, ING, and AMP was going to buy AXA, and suddenly the market was changing again.
And they were away at some distance away from Sovereign.
A long time.
Yes.
They'd done 2 or 3 businesses in the meantime.
Right.
So they could see that regulations were coming. So there was going to be supervision of life insurance companies in a licensing regime, which hadn't existed previously. So you had this window before the regime came in to become an existing player so that you could transition. And if you didn't get in before then, who knows how long it would take for the Reserve Bank to figure out what requirements it would have of a startup life insurance company, if you could ever do that. So it's kind of like if you're going to start another one, you've got this window to do it. The market is perfect to do it. It's a perfect time to do it. And Naomi, there's only one person that finances and reinsurers will back to start a life insurance company, and that's you.
Because you've done it before.
Twice, and the only one who's done it before. And I was running this family business going, go away, this is what I want to do. I'm sure you're right, but I'm not interested.
Was it a small family advisory
business? It
wasn't
that small. It was, we had about 12 staff. It wasn't that small, but it was still in that, because we were doing spread commissions, it was still in that using all our capital up to fund the upfront costs, right? Then it takes 3 years or so before those cash flows start coming through. And we had a funding line with the bank, which we'd lined up, which required our insurance providers to guarantee that they would buy back the renewal stream if we defaulted on the loan. It was a no-brainer. Every one of the insurance companies signed it, except for our main provider, which happened to be ING, who was also the company that I'd worked for and built.
Right.
And they didn't sign it. The bank pulled the funding line. Now, we could have continued to fund it ourselves, but I was so damn angry. And Chris and Ian were so forceful in terms of, Naomi, you don't know what sort of an opportunity we're about to miss, and we need you, and you need to do this. So I kind of went, okay, if I do that, then we have to buy this business, because the minute I move into a competitor for all those other insurance companies that we've got agencies, they're going to pull the agency. So this business is gone. All these 12 staff, everything is gone. So provided we buy that into this new business, there's a whole bunch of intellectual property we developed around training advisors, which we still use today, by the way.
Right.
So there was a value to the business in buying it and a client base, which
Right.
we then ultimately could sell to someone else and earn some money. So if you do that, then I'm in. And that's how we got started.
And the cornerstone investor again, yourselves and
Chris and Richard Coombe,
right.
friends and family.
Right.
So, all the people that had backed them in previous businesses that they'd done and backed me in previous
so
businesses.
like a public unlisted company in some ways.
It was really very much like that,
right.
and very sort of, friends and family investor base, really, right. until you grow, and then you need to bring in serious money.
When you sat down and thought about it, I mean, you must have defined pretty clearly again the target market
absolutely.
And the key advantages. What were you gunning for?
Yeah, well, I know a lot more this time than I did when I started previously, both in terms of what capital you need, how to go and acquire that capital, what reinsurers are looking for, etc., what actuarial numbers should look like, what advisors need in order to sell. For example, in Club Life, we invented a new product, right. which is now a standard product in the whole industry across here and Australasia, but no one had ever heard about it in those days. And the length of time it took advisors to truly get to grips with something that was way better than what they were already selling, but they didn't understand it, right. Taught us that give them what they know, just make it as good as it can be. So we launched this company with, we're going to be the best feature and benefit in every product, no matter which way you look, because we've done in our advice practice extensive market research, every feature and benefit in every product. So we were able to take that and create product off the back of that. So if you're coming out to the market to advisors and go, everything you know about product is in this product. Everything you like about any product is in this product. You don't have to think about it. You've got no risk that anyone's going to criticise you. And it's really hard to sell against, because if you sell against it, you've got to justify why you took a worse product for your client. Right now, you've got a conflict of interest. Might be commission, it might be trip, but whatever, it's not going to be good for you, right? And that's exactly what happened. We just got, before we opened for business, before we'd launched the product, before we even had a quote to quote the premium or any forms, we were getting application forms from other people with other people's quotes and application forms, and with the name crossed out and Partners Life written on it, and the advisors saying, we trust you, we know you, we loved what you did, we understand that this will be better than what they've already got. These clients, we've talked to them about, they want to come with you, so when you're ready, this is your first application. We had so many first applications. So we were on the roadshow launching the product at night, during the day, and at night I was up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning underwriting applications that were coming in on other people's forms, so that the minute we opened the doors for business, we already had this huge pipeline ready to be issued. It was
That's quite extraordinary,
unbelievable.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And of course, once we start launching it and talking to people about it, and they were able to go and say, have you got this and have you got that? And we were able to go, yes, in every case. The floodgates just opened. So I talked to you about $1 million in the first year in Club Life, and we guesstimated we'd do $5 million in our first year, which is a 5-fold increase on the most recent startup company, because we had a different strategy, and we did $23 million.
$23 million
in our first year. And we now write sort of $44 million a year.
It's incredible, isn't it, really? Incredible success story.
Absolutely.
If you look back on it and you said, what's the one feature? I mean, obviously you built a reputation that people were prepared to back, both financially and otherwise.
Yeah.
But how much of that came from the actual advisors on the ground who you focused on at the very beginning?
I would say nearly all of it.
Right.
We had to capture their hearts and minds. They have long-term experience with me, from the Sovereign days all the way through. So they know that whatever I say I do, if I make a mistake, I say sorry, that we involve them in the decisions and discussions, that they still call me if they think that they've got a problem. Even to the extent where they'll call me because they're in front of an influential client, and it adds mana to their process that they've got a direct line to the CEO.
And do you take those calls?
I do, of course I do. These people are my customers. I am there to serve them. That's the distinct difference. Right. It's not about me, it's about them, and I'm just another cog in the wheel in terms of helping them to do their job, and we need to earn that business, and part of that is me needs to earn that business. So I think that's one of the differences, but it also, so they feel safe and I guess safe in my hands. And that's, when I say I mean my company's hands, and the people who work for me, who obviously have that same culture.
Right. So it's quite a unique culture, isn't it? And you've focused a fair bit on building this culture, haven't you?
Yeah.
Are there some sort of cornerstone things that you drive into the culture that you talk to people about?
Yeah. Well, the first one is the customer comes first. That's an easy thing, right? If you've got the right value proposition for the customer, it fixes all the conduct issues that anyone can throw at you. It fixes the conduct issues